make sure you're subscribed to the Locked On Leafs podcast. And just another reminder of the giveaway. Let us know. Pick a player from Group 1 and Group 2. Who's going to score the first goal of preseason for the Maple Leafs in the game this Sunday against the Ottawa Senators? Give us a player that you think is going to score. We'll pick one lucky commenter who is also subscribed to us, and they will win a Trey Savage rookie card. Yes, so a little cross-sport action here, but courtesy of one of our listeners, Canadian Ranger, over on the Discord channel, an absolute beauty, been a part of the Locked On Leafs Discord for many, many years. If you guys want to get involved, it's a riot once the season gets going. During games, it's so much fun, and also been a part of the fantasy hockey pool the last couple of years as well, which we got to get going on. We need some new blood in the fantasy hockey pool too. So if there's any interest, I know someone did reach out to me on Twitter. If there's any interest in joining the Locked On Leafs fantasy hockey pool, we can open it up to more teams. Maybe try and have a 16-team league this year potentially. Get some new guys and gals into the league. So let us know. Reach out to us on Twitter if you're interested there. Group 2, Dave. Let's take a peek at what Group 2 looked like today on the ice. Obviously, the names that we haven't talked about were the guys who were there, and John Tavares and William Nylander were kind of the guys who led the charge in that regard. Bobby McMann got the assignment next to Willie and Tavares. And McMann and Tavares looked good at times last year, so that makes a whole lot of sense. But we do also need to keep in mind that there was no Max Domi, and that would have been probably the place that Domi would have been, I would imagine. But it looks like McMann is kind of the next guy up in the mind of Craig Berube, which leads me to believe that this Dakota Joshua and Nick Waugh, that's a pair, right? Again, Berube talks in pairs a lot. Matthews, Nyes, Tavares, Nylander, Waugh, Joshua, Lorentz, and Lawton. Those are the pairs, and the rest of the guys in the lineup will kind of filter in and out, it appears. But this is what Group 2 looked like today. What sticks out to you?
The McMahon one was like the first thing I saw right away. And again, there's familiarity there. That's why I'm wondering, is he a bit of a placeholder while Domi's on, Michelli's on the top line? That could be where the switch happens. But he's a player I'm looking at to have a big bounce back, because I thought he had a really good regular season, and then in the playoffs, it's like, what happened to Bobby McMann? Like, something just flipped, and he just wasn't the same player in the playoffs. And I have high hopes for him because, he plays that Craig Berube style that we've come to expect. So Bobby McMahon's a guy I want to see really succeed, really flourish, and hopefully we don't see him, facing a roster crunch bubble where he's in and out of the lineup, because I think he can be a very valuable player. He just needs to go out and prove it.
Yeah, I think he's a solidified top 9, in my opinion. I don't think he'll be impacted by any roster crunch by any means, especially with them having cap space as well. It seems like they look at him as the next man up in terms of filling out the top 6. So I think he's pretty safe in terms of a roster spot. But maybe he gets an opportunity here in the top 6 a little more often than we thought. And Easton Cowan, though, getting the chance to play alongside Nicolas Waugh and Dakota Joshua, which I expect to be very much a defensively responsible team. I find it kind of interesting that in the first day of camp, the Craig Berube decided to throw out the rook, Easton Cowan, who he has dogged before about, his bad habits, especially defensively and with puck protection, or OHL habits, we'll say, but putting him with Waugh and Joshua, hoping that maybe those protection skills rub off a little bit onto Easton Cowan.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him play with, getting a legitimate chance with NHL players. We saw him last year where he didn't initially, and then eventually he got elevated and saw some minutes with some of the NHL guys. I like this. I like that they're giving him a legitimate chance right off the hop. Curious to see how that dynamic works with Joshua and Nicolas Waugh, but I think that's also that I was like, hey, you're the offensive guy on this trio. You got to go out and help us generate some offense because, yeah, Joshua is capable of scoring. Nicola Watt, he's not a total offensive. He can provide some offense, but you need somebody to help kind of kickstart it. And I think that's the challenge that Easton Cowan has to go out and prove he can do it.
Yeah. So we'll see what he can do again. Unsure if he'll play the game on Sunday or Tuesday, but at some point he's going to go out there and can't wait to see what it looks like. A couple of minor leaguers, depth players rounded out the rest of the forward group there. And then McCabe Tanev, OEL, Benoit, Prokop, and Dakota Mermes, and then Cade Weber and William Villeneuve rounds out the forward groupings. And then goaltending-wise, it was Joseph Woll and was it Artyomov? Artur Akhtiamov and Joseph Woll were the guys there. So we didn't really discuss a whole lot about, who put on weight, who lost weight, and what the situation was when it came to that throughout the offseason. But I'm looking at a tweet now that friend of the show, Kyle Cushman, put out yesterday. And a couple of things that are sticking out to me about off-season weight gain and losses. Well, we did, I guess, talk a little bit about Morgan Riley lost 6 pounds, looking a little bit more slender, I suppose. But you look at a couple guys who've put on some weight. Dakota Joshua put on 12 pounds from last year, so he's up to 218 now. And I think he lost quite a bit of weight, with the cancer battle. So he's just getting himself back to kind of where he's comfortable at. Matthew Nyes, who had a big jump in weight gain last year, put on another 5 pounds of bulk. He's now up to 232. Matthew Nyes, 6'3", 232 pounds.
I think he is the biggest, not like in terms of skaters. He's the biggest player. Like I think Stolarz is 248. He's also 6'6" and plays goalie. Yeah, but like, man, that is, as Steve Dangle says, beef.
That is a beefy boy. That certainly is a beefy boy. 232. Yeah, I don't think there's another skate. Yeah, he is the heaviest player at camp. I'm just taking a look, seeing there's 222. That's Rhett Parsons, who does not even really matter. Chris Tanev put on 1 more pound to get to that number of 200. So I'm sure he's happy to see that. William Villeneuve actually put on 9 pounds. He's almost at 200 now, which is good to see. He's going to want to try and battle for one of those depth spots with the Maple Leafs. Anything else kind of stick out to you really quickly here about the weight? Brandon Carlo put on 7 pounds, it looks like. Ben Danford put on 5 pounds, got himself to a nice round number of 200, which is obviously good to see for him as well.
Matias Maccelli added 11 pounds.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, Maccelli now coming in